Do you believe hurt people hurt people? I've been seeing this quote lately on TikTok, on social media, and people have been talking about it lately a lot. And from my research, I found out, or they say that hurt people who are hurt, they hurt people because probably they have gone through some sort of trauma growing up, some sort of pain, and they have not, taken the time to heal or self-reflect and move on from that. And so today I want to discuss this, and I want to discuss this by sharing people's stories. And there's a person who says that when they see this quote, it breaks their heart because they have been abused and they are constantly going through life and are very scared of becoming abusive themselves. They recognize some of the patterns or some of the things that they have gone through in their abusers, and it really sends them to a depressed spiral. And they are afraid, and they ask themselves the question of, like, am I doomed to hurt other people because of the things I went through? Am I doomed to cause other people pain because of the experiences that I've gone through, because of the abuse? And I saw somebody else saying that it's like kind of a generational trauma. And one person says that their mom fits this description of hurt people because he says the mom grew in a horrible childhood, and so she went through hell, and she never healed from that. And so when this person was growing up, their mom put them through hell. I used to kind of flinch at the statement, as I didn't think it applied to me, but now I realize it is largely true to the extent that I acted inward. The people I hurt was myself, but I know now it goes beyond this even. I'm a people pleaser and a perfectionist. But when you step back and recognize that both of these can be a form of manipulation, that can be hurtful to other people in your life. I'm manipulating them into liking me. It may not hurt them in an obvious sense, but it's not healthy. And while not technically abuse, could cause some psychological pain. If I had kids and carried on around them, what would I be teaching them? This whole thing of trying to even please people, you're not hurting them, but you're kind of manipulating them to like you, because maybe you're thinking people don't like you, and probably maybe it's something that you felt growing up. So as a victim and recovering abuser, the cycle really continues. This is someone else saying that. I want to say that you're not doomed. Of course, you're not doomed. We can all rise from the ashes, from the things that we've gone through, and become better versions of ourselves. And he says the opposite, really. You have the drive, the determination not to hurt others. You just have to apply it to finding the darker things you have internalized. Very true. I like this. For my dad, it was easy to identify, get overwhelmed, emotionally dysregulated, and then it becomes fight or fight time. For my mom, it was unidentified until the end of an almost 5-year relationship where I got called manipulative. Turns out I would have negative feelings, then figure out where my partner had failed to help enough. Then I would verbally belittle them with what seemed justifiable words. Wow. I know there are people who belittle people. They say things and they don't even think they're saying something that is bad or something that is offensive. And those statements, you keep thinking them and you keep replaying them in your head, wondering, why did they say that? And you kind of feel maybe that's what you are, but of course you're not. I used to ask why she couldn't remember things as well as I said. I didn't actually have a better memory. She was just living through trauma and a different threat scale. I remembered everything because it was useful in that fight. She wouldn't, because she had other things to remember, and I didn't prep her on what she needed to remember to what extent, because it's mental illness. it's non-essential, and it's understandable. And understanding it is how you counter it. So right now I'm almost 29. I have had multiple women I've loved. I've had myself in most senses, and now I'm married. We are doing great. Happy as far as that goes. I constantly clock myself and make sure what I'm saying is good to say before saying it. Wow, I love that. Because when you're angry, sometimes you rush to say things. But I like the fact that he says he takes that moment of you know silence. What am I going to say, or how am I going to say it so that it's not offensive? And he says that I check in with her, and when I feel unhealthy, when I feel the unhealthy, illegitimate expression of healthy, legitimate feelings come out. So a week ago, I overdid it when pointing out she'd only gotten her favorite snacks at the store instead of anything we normally get. She was focusing on her. It was cute and it didn't actually bother me, but I was stressed by multiple other factors, and my tone and word choice was harsher than intended. I immediately apologized, explained that it wasn't as bad in my head as it sounded, explaining the underlying stresses that caused it. So I think what people have to do to overcome this is kind of go back and reflect on the things that have caused them pain so that they don't cause this pain to other people. Because I think most of the time, you're struggling through things that you went through growing up, people who abused you. And so when you haven't done the inner work of healing, you kind of struggle to be a better person to other people. And, you end up lacking empathy. And so you keep repeating the cycle of abuse. And somebody says you're doomed to repeat the cycle of abuse unless you become aware of how you internalize the lies that the abuse taught you, counter them, or have a network of people that give you unconditional love. And somebody else says, I think it's true that hurt people hurt people. I don't think that is a universal truth, though. It isn't true that hurt people will always hurt people. And she says, for me personally, I have to accept that my abuser was once a victim because I couldn't survive being like him. Being deeply traumatized means I'm at extreme risk of becoming just like him, addicted and self-absorbed, consumed with hate and self-pity. Wow. Who hurts others because they can't feel their own pain anymore. So he says that his father was once a victim. It made him a monster. That is something I know to be true. It isn't the truth of every abuser, but it was the truth of mine. I don't forgive him. Him being a victim doesn't make it okay what he did to me. His trauma doesn't validate traumatizing me. Knowing that doesn't make things easier, but it does keep me alert on my own choices about trauma and how I let that shape who I choose to be. Hurt people, but people can heal, we can grow and become so much more than our trauma. We absolutely can hurt people, but we can also choose not to. I like how he says, he stays alert on his own choices about the trauma he has gone through and how he lets that shape his life. And I think most of us have gone through some sort of trauma. I think nobody is perfect. All of us have gone through things that have hurt us, and sometimes you keep remembering this happened, somebody did this to me, and you kind of end up being a person who lacks empathy, and you end up hurting other people. And so what are you supposed to do to break this cycle of hurt? They say that you have to involve therapy. If you can afford it, go for it. And self-reflection, practice mindfulness and self-compassion, learn healthier ways of expressing emotions so that you can work your way into breaking the cycle. And it involves developing communication skills, learning to manage anger, and cultivating empathy. So guys, let me know what you think about this. What are your experiences? What have you gone through? And have you been able to do that inner work? Have you self-reflected and, you know, taking better care of yourself so that you can, you know, not hurt the people that you love? Thank you guys for watching. Watch out for the next episode.